Hi everyone, this is a mid-August garden update. We are in the city zone 6B. We're going to check out the garden and see what has progressed since July. There's quite a bit going on in this garden for such a small space, but yet we have plenty of yard we still could till and put out even more and create that food forest, which is a dream of mine. And maybe you have a dream for a food forest also. Or maybe you've already created one. I would love to see it in the comments section. Tell me all about it so I can check it out. We are going to start with the sandy area I covered up because we had all kinds of crabgrass. We've had so much rain, you wouldn't believe it. And Boo stopped playing in the sand. We had sweat bees laying eggs in the sand, and she just didn't care for it. We're going to extend this cottage garden out this way. I'm just going to keep this cardboard on the sandy area all fall and winter. I'll be placing some more soil a few feet, and we'll have a small path that leads to the back gate. So we're just doing a quick look here and an update, looking at the cottage garden, and you can see the sedum stone crop starting to turn either dark pink or red, and I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, oh, the basil's doing good. Now, basil's perfectly edible, of course, but very strong. My husband and I both prefer the dried basil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try drying it in the fall so we can have it for Italian food over the winter. But we have lots of garlic chives, and these are completely edible and great for garnishes. You're going to let them flower because they attract bees. The only problem is they spread seeds. Well, I'll just deal with that later. We want this to be eco-friendly, an eco-friendly garden. That's why we kept the wild milkweed on there. Where you saw the grasshopper, we have a lot of grasshoppers. I know that's a pest. The grasshopper's here for a reason, and I'm just gonna let them, if they get really out of control, I'll have to take measures. But right now, I enjoy seeing the grasshoppers. But they are actually food for birds. Birds enjoy grasshoppers. So it's all in the ecosystem. Here's the milkweed pod the grasshopper was sitting on. And I don't think he was going to be around very long. I think his time was coming. We have a lot of monarchs, and every year we see the baby monarchs, but I rarely see the caterpillars. I guess they hide under the leaves, and I would love to see a caterpillar, but we have ladybugs, and they serve their purpose too in the ecosystem. So just looking at the milkweed, you see every kind of insect you can imagine on the milkweed. The bees and the butterflies enjoy the nectar from the flowers. So I just enjoy watching all this. I'm an insect fanatic. I love insects, except for roaches. I don't like roaches. Moving in and out of apartments years ago when I was a very young adult. Roaches are my least favorite insect, I believe, but there's a lot more dangerous. They're not really dangerous, they're just destructive. If you look closely, you'll see there's a pair of monarchs getting ready to mate, and they're flying around the zinnia garden. Bless their hearts. And the monarchs just love the garden. The zinnias have really taken off, and zinnias are edible, by the way. That's an edible flower. I researched it. But I also threw some seeds from last year into the garden, and those flower seeds did very well. Vegetable seeds, not so much. Yeah. If you have seeds that are from the previous year, at least try to plant them and see what comes up. Usually flowers come up for me, maybe some herbs, but rarely do the vegetables grow again. I didn't store it properly, that could be. It was something I had planted, and we're not going to see any snow peas this year, and that's sad. But we have some green beans coming up. I love growing annuals because you can grow them wherever you want. But I know with the food forest, it's best to grow perennials or to reseed annuals from the year before. So I'll probably be doing a lot of reseeding. But I still, even though I want to have a food forest, I want to be able to grow some wonderful pumpkins, and this is where we grow our sugar pie pumpkins. Let's take a look at a sugar pie pumpkin here. Oh, it's turned orange. It's turning orange. Wonderful. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful sugar pie pumpkin. It'd be great for pumpkin pie or pumpkin desserts. Now we see we have some flooding. I didn't build this soil up enough, as you can see. This is one area I didn't build up enough. And there's some flooding. Now this might attract mosquitoes later on. So I'm hoping that it will dry up and we'll have some hot weather today. I'm actually hoping we'll have hot weather to dry that up. Now there's another pumpkin. And I'm looking for it. Oh, here it is. Yes, there's another sugar pie, and they're fairly small. Okay, a fairly small pumpkin. Sweeter variety. This might well be the grasshopper. Whoa. From the one that was on the milkweed pod. No, this is a smaller one. They don't live very long, sadly. So, there it is. There's another pumpkin. I don't know if I can get in there. I don't want to step on the vines. Yeah, there it is. Looks like it's drowning. But that will dry up. That water will dry up. Yeah, we actually had an emergency call come in for flooding on my phone today. Emergency warning about flooding. Okay, I thought this one was a sugar pie. It might be a large sugar pie because I was thinking about, it was only one package of jack-o'-lantern seeds. This is long, like oblongated, but yet there may have been a mixture of different types of jack-o'-lantern in that package. Because here we have one that's very big for a sugar pie, but I did plant a combination of both. I mainly planted jack-o'-lanterns through here, but I also planted some sugar pie. So some of these pumpkins are going to be smaller. And if I save these seeds for next year, they'll be mixed. Oh, I did some trimming so I could have larger pumpkins. I didn't want too many on one vine. I wanted the largest one to really take off in most cases. So I did do some trimming. But then I stopped after a while because I decided, well, I want some pumpkins. Yeah, I want lots of different sizes. Why not? I like the smaller ones too. There's a very large one. Not extremely large, but I'd say medium size. That might be a round jack-o'-lantern. Okay, I believe we have a combination here. I only grew 2 varieties, so it's not that hard to figure out. Here's another one. It's beautiful looking. It's turning orange also. We have several pumpkins through here. There's one that's extremely long, almost like a watermelon. It's a pretty long pumpkin. I have never seen one this long, I don't think. I've never grown one this long, I'll tell you that for sure. Now here's some damage that the squash bugs caused. With all the rain we had, it didn't seem to matter. The vines still did very well. Now, but growing potatoes when you have a food forest is not really recommended, but you can still do it. And this is the 4th year for growing sweet potatoes in this spot, and they do wonderful here. So I want to continue that. But what can I grow near it? You know, if I want to grow a cherry tree or something, I'd probably put it right here. Yeah, this would be the ideal spot for a small cherry tree. Whatever, if I get plum trees, they're going to have to be dwarf size. Yeah, smaller varieties. But mainly I want to focus on berries and vines, then bushes, shrubs, like elderberries. I want to try elderberries and currants. We already have strawberries here, but I need more strawberries because these are 3 to 4 years. Strawberries do very well. Then they start to die off. Well, in the spring, I plan on purchasing at least 12, if not more, strawberry plants. So that would be part of the food forest. Strawberries, they grow on the ground. They vine off on the ground. It's very simple. And they're beautiful. They're in a dormant stage right now. And the lemon balm has gotten in between them. I could deal with that. Yeah, I really should pull some of that. because it will come back next year the same way. But the raspberry bushes will continue to come up. I let some grow over here. We'll go ahead and let those grow. I really want more blackberries, and I went through here and I weeded and got some of the weeds out so the blackberries will do better. I'm going to fertilize them. We only have 2 blackberry bushes, and I would love to have one more. I have to find a spot for it. In order to do that, I may have to take out some old strawberry, yeah, or find the right spot. There's got to be a spot for blackberries, and could well be right here. I might grow a couple blackberry bushes right here. We're probably getting ready to say goodbye to summer squash and zucchini. I did some harvesting yesterday. I was able to get out here and get 2 zucchinis, and I believe we have 1 more summer squash coming on. It will probably be our last yellow squash, and I can't find it, and that's bugging me. Maybe oh, there it is, if it makes it. This little summer squash. That will probably be the very last one, but I got so many summer squashes I can't complain. It actually did better than the zucchini, and the zucchini did fairly well. Not as good as last year, but the zucchini did fairly well, and we still have some coming up. All right, we have 1 watermelon that's very large that I know it's gonna ripen, and it will be pink or red inside, and we're just gonna let that grow, and we're not gonna interfere with these vines. They're very delicate. I have another one. These are Charleston Grays, by the way. That one's not getting very big. Well, we'll give it some more time. Maybe after this one is harvested, that one will do better. That's what I'm thinking. Then we also, while we were out here, I noticed there's one also, and I wasn't sure if it was going to make it, but after the rain, I see it's really starting to take off, the Charleston Gray watermelon. Well, great. And there's another one over there. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a small one. We have some okra here. I believe I need to harvest a little bit. I've been harvesting a little bit at a time. It starts with a flower, and then behind the flower comes up the actual edible part, the okra. One of them got too tall. I think this one's fine here, but this one, I'm not going to be able to eat that. That's going to be woody and bitter or tasteless. This one should be just fine. Ooh, that's got prickly. So I'll come back out here and harvest that. And as far as part of the food forest, I have 4 rhubarb. I have plenty of rhubarb. Now, the stalks are perfectly edible. The leaves are not. They are toxic. So I do love rhubarb, and I'm getting ready to make a rhubarb dessert. These are 2 years old right through here. Next year, I'll be able to harvest them freely. But this year, I'm harvesting very sparingly. You want to keep them strong. You want them to be strong perennial. It's best, they recommend not to harvest for 3 years. But if you harvest the second year, just do it very sparingly. Thanks for watching today. I hope I inspired you and you learned a little something. It is a pleasure to have a garden. If you have any space at all and you're able to put out a plot, I encourage you to do it. I know that it's late in the season. Well, maybe you're in a climate that's very hot, below 6B, that's for sure, where you can grow something. You know, lettuce, spinach, radishes, carrots. There's so many things you can grow in the late summer for fall crops. And as far as developing a food forest, that is what I need to do with this property, the way it's laid out. And I know we have a lot of grass we need to till up, and I didn't want to kill the worms. So if we get any kind of tiller at all, it needs to be something very low key that will not go down very deeply. And we plan on doing that and laying down lots of cardboard and contractor's paper. You have to do 3 or 4 sheets of that, I found out. That's quite a bit. And then lay something on top, like some soil or compost or some dried up weeds from the garden, anything with weight. And you could lay down bricks, anything. Lay it down over the fall and the winter so we can get back to Eden and do it the proper way. And that cardboard will go into the ground and will enrich the soil, and then use whatever you have in your garden. Use whatever kitchen waste you have, like the eggshells, the coffee grounds, just potato scraps, whatever you have. Save it up and put it back into the garden. That's the thing to do. If you want to go back to Eden and you want to develop a food forest like I do. Any ideas you have, please share them in the comments section. God bless each and every one of you. Good Lord willing, I'll see you on the next one.